Okay, hey SteadXP explorers and FPV pilots. I'm going to go through, someone asked me for help on a particular SteadXP clip, and I'm just going to go through and use the process that I've been using in order to get good success. This is the first time I'm doing this, so it might actually not work, but let's see how this goes. Okay, first browse input directory, and it's in my downloads, SteadXP test. So I put the raw clip in there as well as the XPD files. Okay, and this particular camera is a Pocket 4K with the 7.5mm Laowa. Okay. Now we just gotta wait for the proxy. Oh yeah, there's that lovely, lovely gong that we all love to hear. Okay, the proxy's done. Let's double click on the thumbnail to actually open it up. And it defaults to, if you click on one of these little gray keyframes, it jumps to the left of that little rectangle. So this spot here actually looks good. So let's click retry to use that specific clip as the starting point for the synchronization. So negative 31.6, that's the kind of ballpark synchronization phase delay or whatever that you want for the Blackmagic Pocket 4K camera. It's about negative 31. If it's something like a really wild number, like 104, you probably need to pick a new spot. And how do you know what a good spot is? You could tell if I use the arrow keys to navigate here, you want something where you can see the horizon and there's a little bit of motion blur indicating that the camera is moving, but it's not so much that so I think their shutter speed might be around 90 judging by, but it's hard to tell. You don't want too much motion blur, so if you're doing a 180-degree shutter, you slow down your jerks. But this is looking great, and so if the first one didn't work out, for instance, then you could click retry again and then see the number on the right to see if that's around negative 31 for a Blackmagic Pocket 4K. For other cameras, that number will be different. But this is looking good, and to validate it, you can press the space bar, and then usually the key point is when you set down the camera, just looking at the background, seeing if the background is maintaining, like if it's steady, if the horizon, it's okay if the horizon's at an angle, but if the horizon is moving around at all, that means that's a bad sync, or there's something else wrong with your file, like you put a period in the file name. That can throw things off. So that's looking good. Next, let's validate. Okay, go to preview. And let's jump to the point where the drone takes off here. I'm just clicking on the timeline. I don't know if there's a little bit of delay or not. Okay. So I noticed a little bit of like artificial jello right at the beginning there, but that could have been my eyes deceiving me. Oh, that's cool, a car coming into frame like that. I don't know, this is looking pretty good to me. I'm not sure why he was having troubles with getting this to stabilize. Perhaps I am using version 1.2.1 of the software, so maybe that has something to do with it. But like with this particular clip, like I could take the stability level down to like 9, let's say. And let's go to a spot where there's quite a bit of motion. Going into this backwards loopy loop thing. I don't know, like this is looking pretty good to me. I think you can get away with 9. and then open up your zoom to like 95 to get more of the picture in frame and to have less resolution reduction. And this is looking really smooth. You could even, I don't know, let's see if we go back to 10. Because like 10 is ultra smooth. That's probably the highest I would ever go. Unless I want a shot that looks like it's on a flying tripod or something. See, with 10 it crops in a little bit. You can see on these keyframes here there's a little bit of black. So what I like to do is just go back and forth through the keyframe. Ah, darn it, I lost it. I have to find it again. So I gotta go forward and to the highest point, and then I can use that as a reference. So if I go down to 94, see, now it doesn't come into frame anymore. Maybe it does a little bit, so just for good measure, 93. Okay, let's check another. You can use this little chart down here to see which point is the most amount of motion, to look out for points where the black screen will come into view. So that looks fine. What about over here? Oh yeah. So maybe we can't get away with 10. So let's try 9 again. Because let's say for this clip we want the whole thing to be stabilized. That means we have to stabilize it to the highest point that is allowable for the whole clip. Even that, like, that looks pretty fine. We won't know for sure until we do the final export, so I'll show you what that looks like too. Oh yeah, see right here, it's a pretty sharp turn, so it's got to crop in quite a bit. Right about there. Let's call that 90. We got to do a little more. 88. 89. Okay, and let's go back and forth a little bit. Yeah, just barely makes it. I think that's the sharpest. Yeah, that's it right there. Okay. Let's call that good. And then to actually set our in and out points, let's start it while it. I kind of missed a step. You should actually set your in and out points before you muck around with the stability level and the zooming. So take that into account, and let's stop it right before he's about to land. And there is a lot of delay after you click that out button. Okay, and the settings on the right have maintained, so I'm just going to assume that that's going to be good. Now for your output ratio, I believe this was 4K DCI, so I want to click 17:9 aspect ratio and then 4K. Now if you want to actually color grade this stabilized footage afterward, you would choose one of these ProRes options, probably high bitrate. I'm not sure what the difference is between 422 and 4444. My guess is 4444 is higher quality just because there's more numbers. I don't know. But for this, I'm just going to do H.264 to save some memory. Okay, and then click this plus icon, and that will add it to a queue. It gives us this warning. It might have cropping in. You should optimize it. Don't do that. Do that manually. Okay, and test. And then after you do this, you can click this button, reload the initial sequence. Let's say there's another clip in the whole flight that I want to pick out and stabilize individually. Then I would go through that same process, set my in, set my out, muck around with the stability and the zoom, and then add it to the render queue. So that's how you go back to the main unclipped footage. So once you have your renders in here, you click the play icon, and I'll see you in, I don't know. Okay, looking at the video stabilized now, it looks pretty good to me. So the issue that this guy was having trying it himself was that there was this lurching where it looked like the camera was accelerating a little bit and then slowing down and accelerating a little bit and slowing down, and it was with at random intervals. Now what you see here, I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. This is this guy shot at 25 frames per second in Europe, and I changed my Premiere timeline to 25 frames per second to prevent any dropped frames. But in my playback, I noticed that I am getting like choppy playback. So I don't know how this is going to turn out on the export. Yeah, looking at this, it looks smooth to me. I'm not seeing anything bad. So if you notice something that I'm not, just put it in the comments below. Alright, hope this helps.